Hi guys, Petrik here. Today's video will be my December wrap-up, and also this will be the final video that I'm going to post within 2020. And I'm very horrible at introduction, so let's get to it immediately. The first book that I finished within December is The Martian by Andy Weir. As I mentioned in my favorite standalone books of all time video, this is now one of my favorite standalone books of all time. I think it's really great that even though I have watched the movie first before reading through this one, I was still able to enjoy this one so much. It's really good. This is an incredible survival story. And even though I knew already what will happen in this story because, well, I've watched the movie first, this was still able to captivate me so much throughout the entire book. I totally didn't expect that. The prose was engaging, the dialogue was so entertaining, and all the science tidbits, even though it can be quite info-dumpy at times, it never felt boring and they felt very realistic. I'm not a scientist, so I could be wrong on this, but well, they totally felt realistic to me. The pacing was so good, and Mark Watney, the main character, is just so charming. We all need a friend like him in our life. His positive mindset is just so intoxicating, and I love reading about it so much. Think about it, this is a survival story. He's stranded alone in Mars. If this was written by, I don't know, maybe Joe Abercrombie, this would have become a very bleak novel. He is alone in Mars. Alone in a city is already scary. He's alone in another planet. And somehow this book was able to feel very lighthearted and funny, but can be very tense at times. It's pretty good. All the hype and praises towards this book was so well deserved. Even though if you have watched the movie, please don't make the same mistake as I did. Just read through this. The second book that I finished in December is a different kind of book than what I usually read. It's a memoir, and it is Hollywood Park by Michael Yolet. This is kind of difficult for me to review because personally I really don't like reviewing memoir. It always felt awkward to me because it felt like I'm judging the person's life. So I'm not gonna talk about the story at all, but let's just say that I love this book. The writing was absolutely beautiful. Although Michael Yolet is the singer of a band called the Airborne Toxic Event, I somehow didn't expect that the writing would be this beautiful. Not only he's a great music composer, he's also a great writer. It's so raw and emotional. And reading this book, it felt like I have gotten to know him somehow because everything is pretty much laid bare. And I think at the end of the day, this is a book that showcases how important love can be, especially in the darkest of times. I received this book from Goodreads and I'm very thankful for it. The third book that I finished in December is Dragon Mage by M.L. Spencer. I have talked about this book 3 times now, and I hope you're not sick of me talking about it, but well, it is one of my favorite standalone books of all time now. The physical copy of this book is actually available to purchase now, so you might want to purchase it if this interests you, especially if you're someone who loves classic epic fantasy that's told with a modern narrative. Then look no further, you should read this one. It's amazing. And speaking of classic epic fantasy, yes, this does contain a lot of tropes, but so many of them work so well to the story. I'm just gonna list them here. Coming of age story is here, training montage is here, magic school is here, a wise and old mentor with a harsh past is also here, and the main character Aram is kinda like a chosen one here. But trust me that it is quite impossible to not like the main character. He's just so likable in my opinion. And Aram is someone who has been treated harshly throughout his whole life because he's different. And this is where Marcus, his best friend, comes in. Aram and Marcus has one of the best friendship that I've ever read in a fantasy novel. It's not often for me now to find a fantasy novel where the friendship between the two main characters just runs so genuine and so lovable. And I think this one really did. The magic system is also unique. It involves nuts. The world building is intricate. M.L. Spencer didn't build just one world for us to explore, but 2 worlds. The world above, where there is no more magical creatures, and there is the world below, where the magical creature resides. It's incredible. And 2 more things. It has an amazingly well-written friendship with dragons. And also, I absolutely love the weapon creation process in this book. It's obvious that M.L. Spencer has done a lot of research about blacksmithing, and I loved it. Just read this book. The physical book is available to purchase now, and I think you should get it. I mean, look at that cover art. You couldn't possibly resist this, right? This is one of my favorite standalone books. and I highly recommend this one. Fourth book that I finished in December is We Began at the End by Chris Whittaker. This is another book that wouldn't have been in my radar if someone hadn't recommended it to me. And this has been recommended to me by my co-blogger, Emma. She also writes for fantasy book review. So We Began at the End is categorized as crime or thriller fiction. And they're not my usual genre to read, but my co-blogger read this one in January and she has recommended this to us non-stop. And you know what? December is usually the month where I try reading books that's outside my genre. So yeah, I might as well give it a try, and wow, she was right. It's incredible. Although it's true that the story did revolve around a crime, I think at the end of the day, see what I did there? It's about the characters and the writing. The characters are so memorable. They're just so well written. There's a lot of heartbreak in this book, and I definitely will watch out for anything that Whittaker writes from now on. The writing did takes me about 25% for me to get used to, but after I gotten used to it, I couldn't put the book down anymore. It's just so good. The fifth book that I finished in December is Punz Gambit by Rob J. Hayes. This is the second book in the Mortal Techniques series. I don't think I'm allowed to talk a lot about this book right now because I'm in part of a blog tour. The author has mentioned to withhold reviews until January, so I'm not going to say a lot about this. But to sum it up briefly, I absolutely love Never Die, and this one was a great addition to the series. I think I slightly love Never Die more, but this one was still another great book. Punz Gambit comes out about a month from now, and I will have my review up on the 12th of January. But if you love Never Die, definitely look forward to this one. Mortal Techniques series is definitely my favorite series by Rob J. Hayes. And the last book that I finished in December is Herod the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. This is the second book in the Locktomb trilogy, and I love Gideon the Ninth. Not gonna lie, I did DNF Gideon the Ninth the first time I read through it, but a lot of trusted reviewers have mentioned that the second half improved significantly. I gave Gideon the Ninth a try again, and they were right. The second half of Gideon the Ninth totally captivated me, and I loved it. But for Herod the Ninth, this is a tricky one, because this is a book that's designed to confuse readers for 70% of the book. Seriously, I'm not kidding. When you start at this book, you will be confused. It's very understandable to feel that way, and that feeling will probably last for about 300 pages. This book is 500 pages long. So you can probably imagine my frustration reading through this one. But Herod the Ninth is overall a very highly praised book. Seriously, a lot of people love this one. I think it all comes down to this. Tamsin Muir's storytelling decision on Herod the Ninth relies a lot on the final 30% of the book. It is where everything will be revealed, and it will make the first 70% make so much more sense. And this will be very subjective for each reader, whether the payoff is worth the 70% of struggle or not. For me, it's not. I don't think it's necessary for the book to be that confusing. It felt to me like I was just reading writing that doesn't make any sense. And I think your enjoyment of this book will depend a lot on how invested you are in Gideon, Hero, and the characters of the series. I mean, I like them, but I don't think I love them as much as the other fans of the series. Right now, I'm not so sure yet whether I will continue to reading the final book, Alecto the Ninth, that will come out in 2022. But I don't know, I guess we'll see. This is actually the perfect book to be the final book of this year. The first 70% was nonsense to me, just like this year, but the final 30% was awesome, just like my reading year. So, yeah. Now you might be wondering, but where is Shogun by James Clavell? So here's the thing. I don't know why, but there seems to be a curse around this book or something. I first read 100 pages of Shogun. I liked it. The head hopping was a bit confusing to me, but I liked it enough. But then I fell sick. And because I was sick, I didn't have the energy to push myself through reading this. 1,300 pages book. This is 500,000 words. I just don't have the power to read through this massive tome while I was unwell. So I put it down, I read through other books, and if you follow my Twitter account, you probably saw me tweeted that Shogun will be the final book that I'm going to read in December. I read through 100 pages again, I got to page 200, I fell sick again. It's like a real curse. Every time I read 100 pages, I fell sick. So yeah, I have to put it down for now. And I don't know when I'll pick it up again, but right now I'm putting Shogun on hold. And that's all the books that I finished in December. My book of the month was definitely Dragon Mage by M.L. Spencer. And before I close this video, again, I just want to say thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much for your support, especially for the past 4 months. This channel is still pretty young. It's only 4 months old. I started this booktube channel in September, and I still have a lot to learn, always. And I hope all of you will continue to watch this channel next year as well. I have a lot of videos that I want to record and do for next year. hopefully I will be able to do them all. My January TBR video will be posted on the 1st of January. That's it for me today. How many books did you finish within this month? And do stay safe and Happy New Year. Bye bye.